Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a highly focused, zero-fluff journey right into the core teachings of Brian Tracy. Specifically, we're going to look at exactly how self-discipline acts as a master key to achieving 7 very distinct life goals. If you've ever found yourself making excuses or just putting off those big true ambitions, you might actually be suffering from a super common, but honestly highly fatal disease called excuseitis. It's basically the condition that keeps people completely trapped on what Tracy calls someday I'll. We all know the feeling, right? Telling yourself you'll finally write that book or start that business or get in shape, someday. Well, tonight, we're going to permanently vote ourselves off that island. And really, it all begins with this one pivotal question. Why do some people accomplish so much more than the rest of us, given the exact same amount of time? We all have 24 hours in a day. A legendary researcher named Koppmeyer actually spent 50 years studying exactly this, literally half a century compiling 1,000 distinct success principles from history's highest achievers. We're talking exhaustive lists of habits, mindsets, the whole shebang. But when they asked him to name the single most important principle out of all 1,000, he didn't even hesitate for a second. Okay, let's dive into this. Koppmeyer cited this absolutely famous Albert Hubbard quote, revealing the master key to it all. It means hitting the gym when it's freezing and raining outside, or making those 10 extra sales calls when you are just completely exhausted. Koppmeyer basically explained that sure, there are 999 other success principles out there, but without self-discipline, absolutely none of them work. With it, they all work. It is literally the fundamental master key to riches, happiness, and personal greatness. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by escaping someday I'll, then move into activating goals and excellence, mastering work and wealth, building health and relationships, and finally, reaching the ultimate goal of profound inner peace, before finishing up with how to become an unstoppable force. Let's get right to it. Section 1. Escaping someday I'll and overcoming excuses. To actually escape these excuses, we first have to recognize the 2 absolute worst enemies of self-discipline. First up is the expediency factor. This is basically our built-in human desire to seek the fastest, easiest way to get what we want right now while completely ignoring the long-term consequences. And the second is the path of least resistance, that really dangerous trap of always seeking shortcuts. Sociologist Dr. Edward Banfield did a 50-year study and found that highly successful people operate in the exact opposite way. They have what he called a long-time perspective. Basically, they're totally willing to sacrifice in the short term for those massive long-term rewards. And the simplest rule for practicing this every single day? Eat your dinner before dessert. Do the hard, necessary work first and enjoy the reward later. Section 2. Goals and excellence. This is all about activating your true potential. To activate that potential, you absolutely have to accept 100% responsibility for your own life. When you do that, you instantly shift from being a mental child, someone who blames others and makes excuses, to a mental adult who takes total control of their future. And that requires the fierce discipline of goal setting. The method here is huge. Decide exactly what you want, write it down, set a deadline, list out your actions, organize them, act immediately, and then do something daily. Studies actually show only 3% of adults have clear written goals. Just 3%. But when you apply this 7-step discipline, you actually override your brain's built-in failure mechanism. You become like a homing pigeon locked directly onto your target, completely immune to distractions. Activating excellence also means overcoming fear and fully committing to continuous, lifelong growth. A fantastic way to do this is to invest just 3% of your income back into your own learning. Think about it for a second. If you make $50,000 a year, that's $1,500 dedicated entirely to your brain, buying books, going to seminars, listening to audio programs. By disciplining yourself to reinvest this tiny slice back into your mind, your earning ability, which, by the way, is absolutely your most precious financial asset, can just keep increasing indefinitely. Moving on to goal 3, mastering work and wealth through productivity and finances. In your career, your productivity is really driven by the law of 3, which basically states that just 3 primary tasks contribute 90% of your value at work. So your job is to identify those tasks and just ruthlessly focus on them. To do that, you can use the ABCD method for time management. You literally assign these letters to your daily tasks based on consequences. An A task? That has serious consequences if you don't do it. An E-task is something you should eliminate entirely, like, say, scrolling social media for an hour at your desk. The real discipline here, though, is single handling. You absolutely must start your A1 task first thing in the morning and concentrate on it until it is 100% complete. You never ever touch a B task when an A task is left undone. Now, when it comes to wealth, financial failure is almost always an inability to delay gratification. You really need to rewire your brain to associate saving rather than spending with happiness. A great way to start is the 1% formula. Just save 1% of your income and live on the rest, slowly increasing that savings rate over time. Then you can apply the wedge principle. Resolve to save 50% of any future increase in your income. Let's say you get a $1,000 raise. $500 goes to upgrading your lifestyle, sure, but the other $500 gets saved immediately. You literally drive a wedge between your rising income and your expenses. Do this, and compound interest will mathematically guarantee your financial independence. Section 4, Health and Relationships. This is all about vitality and connection. I mean, what good is all that wealth and career success if you don't actually have the health to enjoy it, right? For vibrant health, you've got to discipline yourself to avoid what Tracy calls the 3 white poisons: sugar, salt, and white flour. These foods severely spike and then just crash your biological system. Eliminate these, and I promise your daily energy will naturally soar. On top of that, discipline yourself to exercise first thing in the morning. Seriously, even just 20 minutes completely kickstarts your metabolism, hyperoxygenates your brain, and releases these incredible endorphins that literally make you happier, sharper, and way more intelligent for the rest of the day. For relationships, discipline is equally critical. For instance, a happy marriage requires the immense discipline of truly listening without interrupting. Harder than it sounds, right? And with kids, well, children literally spell love as T-I-M-E. They absorb your behaviors and they definitely notice when you are truly present. Socially, you should heavily practice the law of indirect effort. Make other people feel important by just putting your phone away and being fully engaged in the conversation. When you raise the self-esteem of others by showing genuine interest in them, your own self-esteem naturally rises in return. It's a total win-win. Section 5, the ultimate goal: inner peace of mind. All of this outer success we've talked about, crushing your goals, building wealth, prioritizing your health, it all ultimately leads to the absolute pinnacle of self-discipline: inner peace. This is governed by the law of control. Basically, happiness is simply a byproduct of feeling like you're actually in charge of your own life. But to maintain that control, you really have to stop being so deeply attached to the need to be right all the time. You have to ask yourself a very challenging question. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Blaming others and needing to win every single argument completely destroys your peace, because it just hands over all your emotional control to outside circumstances. So, the crucial point here is how you handle past hurts. Unhappy people, they have a completely flat forgiveness curve. They hold on to anger and resentment for decades. But truly healthy, disciplined people have a steep, downward-sloping curve. You must refuse to carry around a gunny sack of past resentments, constantly dragging all that dead weight into your future. Just forgive quickly. Understand that forgiveness is actually a purely selfish act designed entirely to set yourself free. Letting go of a grudge doesn't mean the other person was right. It just means you value your own inner peace way more than you value your anger. Section 6. Becoming an unbreakable, unstoppable force. Let's bring it all back to Mark Twain's incredibly piercing observation. There are 1,000 excuses for failure, but never a good reason. By mastering these disciplines and just persisting through setbacks, your character really crystallizes. But the harsh reality you absolutely must face today is that time is going to pass anyway. 5 years from now, you are going to be exactly 5 years older no matter what you do. The only question is where you will be and who you will have become. I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to take away from this explainer today. Ask yourself honestly, 5 years from now, will you still be stranded on Someday Isle, making excuses and wishing things were different? Or will you decide today, right now, to take 100% responsibility for your life, apply the master key of self-discipline, and step onto the path of greatness? The choice and the power is entirely yours. Now get to work.